All right. First, I was gonna just type up an email, but now I'm thinking, let's do like some play-by-play commentary on what you said. I'm very glad you said this. This has given me new insight into how you're playing, and could very well be some of the, or what I've seen could be a big reason why you're not going faster and you're hitting the wall. So, one thing I'm going to suggest, and fucking tongue tied right now. Damn. The next thing I want you to do is record an entire practice session. I want to see how you start from the bottom, 60, and work your way up. Because I want to see where the issues start to set in. The main one that had issues was exercise number 1. So I know you've seen it. I know you know what you did, but I want to bring it up anyway, like I said, and do a little play-by-play commentary. Hang on. Yeah, how we're going to work? Alright. Alright, now the star of the show. Okay, so play it first, and then I'm going to start talking about what I hear, see, and all that.
Okay, triplets at 1.
I guess there was a repeat on that, huh? Turn the desktop audio on,
The first.
and hopefully I don't get a bunch of echo. I'll turn this up. I hope this. Well, I'll go back and. I was gonna say I can just like keep muting the mic and all that when this is playing, but you know what? I got an idea. I clearly don't have this video planned too well. I'm going to switch where my audio is coming from. Okay, so now it'll be coming from the headphones. So I should have the desktop audio play and you won't hear it in the microphone. Okay, so starting at the beginning, it seemed like maybe you realized it wasn't going so well, so you started over because it didn't repeat. Okay, so that last one, right when I paused. So you got your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, listen to the number 8. The 8th one is the important one to really listen to here. I started the right spot. Hang on. Okay. Did you hear how fast you went? Like you sped way up on that 8th one. The 7th one of those notes didn't come out so well. I'm also wondering how the amp setting is, because it does sound like the notes are, how can I describe it? Like, almost like cutting out. It's like sometimes I'll play on an amp, like on tube amps I've played on that have no compression at all. When I start playing fast, it's like the notes, you hear it and then it wants to cut out real fast. It doesn't sustain very well. So if you got the EMGs on there, I assume they're the active ones with the battery. So that should be a high gain output. But that's, I guess, another thing to talk about, like your practice setup. Are you using an amp setup that allows the notes to sustain and come out, real easy, like super little effort? That's a very important thing for the speed, and it'll help eliminate some of those notes from not ringing out. So we're going in depth here. Let's listen again. So number 8. See, listen to how fast it goes. I'm going to pause it right after that. It's almost like that second note was almost cut out because that's how fast you went down. So what's interesting about that, now I think about it, so that fast, that speed that you did on that 8th one, that's how fast you can do hammer-ons. So you can go pretty damn fast there because you basically, it sounded like you maybe like doubled the speed there. You just bam, threw it down real fast. So something to keep in mind there. That speed right there is like way faster than the 150. Obviously, it's not through the whole thing that you're doing it, but that does tell me you have the ability to go much faster. So I hope that makes sense. And you want to compile some questions as I'm going through this, please do so. Because this is going to help the both of us get you progressing. All right, let's continue on here. Let's start actually from the beginning again. And then as soon as you went to the other position, basically you have like position, like the first half where you're starting on 12, and then the second position you're starting on 10. It sounded like you did a hammer-on pull-off there. So I guess the question is, did you know that happened? If you did know it, you know, this is, I know we've talked about it, but let's say it again. If you do catch yourself doing something like that when you're doing a practice run, remember it's super, super important that you stop yourself immediately and then start all over again. Now, I mean, have like, you know, a couple second gap in between the take that you do. A lot of times I'll have students who they'll do their practice thing, they'll make a mistake, and then instead of giving themselves like a 2-second break there, they'll go right into it again as if there was no pause at all. It's like, well, wait a minute. You can't do it that way because now you have the stress of screwing something up. You know you did it. So you have this added pressure that you're putting on top of that pressure by going right into it again instead of starting over and actually giving yourself a couple seconds to have a clean slate. It's important to have that clean slate. So, again, the question is, did you notice that happened? And when you notice things happen like that, do you always start over, give yourself a couple seconds for a clean slate? Let me turn the phone notifications off here. Oh, goodness. Fire truck's going by. So let's take it back. So see if you can notice how you do the hammer-on pull-off thing when you switch down. And okay, so right there, I'm assuming maybe you realized maybe this isn't so good, so you start it over again. And that's where you realize, hey, let's give myself a clean slate, like I just mentioned. All right, so now let's just start watching this second attempt through, okay? And it is better than the first one. So let's start the right spot. Where is that? So like the first 4 repetitions there, that sounded pretty good. But then you started to speed up. You started to rush after about the 4th repetition. See if you can catch that. And then you did that really fast hammer-on right before you went to change your position again. So this seems like, I assume what's happening is you know there's a switch coming up and you're trying to get the notes played, like you're like trying to get them the hell out the way. Like, I'm going to get these notes done so I have enough time to switch over. It's like you're trying to, yeah, I mean, basically that. Like, you know you're going to be changing your hand's position. So perhaps on a subconscious level, your brain is saying, let's get these notes done, out the hell, get them out the way, so we can get over to this other place and be ready for that. Problem is, now you're just it's rushed and it's not played in proper timing. So if you were to play, like if you were to record that for a record or whatever, it would need to be either edited out, or if you did it the old-fashioned way, it would just have to be done again because it's not staying consistent with that. So it seems that's something to start paying attention to. When you're going to have a transition, such as the one in this exercise, it's very important that you think about staying relaxed as much as you can and not rushing the notes just to get to the next part as soon as you can. That's a tough thing to get used to because, I mean, it makes sense. You're getting ready for a transition, so you want to make sure that those notes, that you're ready for, you're in that position you want to be in, so you got to finish those other notes to get over there. Again, unfortunately, then you play rushed and then it doesn't sound right. So, something to keep in mind there. So let's go back to the start of this take. So, sometimes on the first repetition of this take, when you sifted down to the first, third, and fourth finger, some of those pinky notes weren't quite there. So this is where it gets very important to know when things like that happen. So, I think you mentioned that it feels better on the first half. Hang on, I don't remember what you said. So, kind of saying that is, so if here's something important that you gotta discipline yourself on to really go further with this stuff. If you feel that something is uneven, then it's not a good idea to go on. So if you really believe that it's, say, sloppy, you think it sounds sloppy, you think the timing's off, the rhythm's not quite there, it's only doing yourself a disservice to increase the speed at that point. Yes, we need to make sure that we're pushing ourselves in terms of speed to get faster. However, if it's rhythmically incorrect, that will not... Speeding up something that's rhythmically incorrect is only going to lead to further issues. So the timing does need to be as exact as humanly possible. Nothing is ever 100% dead on. There's always some kind of weird variation there. But think about it. You're trying to make it as perfect as possible. If it doesn't feel like it's perfect, probably not the best idea to increase the speed there. So let's see. I know I wanted to do a volume type thing. However, again, I'm going to ask, please record an entire practice session so I can see exactly where the rhythmic disconnect sets in. So that's going to be very important for me on this one. Yeah, if I could see that would help tremendously. And don't want you to think that I'm like tearing this performance down, and I'm not trying to be a dick about anything. I'm only doing this because I'm pointing out things that I'm noticing, so this way you can be aware of it, and then we can correct these things and get you past those plateaus. I apologize for not asking you to do this earlier, but I'm grateful you're willing to do it. A lot of students are not willing to do it. They'll say they will, and then they never do it. But this is very good info to have here. All right, number 2, the sweep picking thing. Now, I can tell you on this one, timing's really good. Timing sounds pretty damn good on this one. That's not an issue. The only thing I thought was kind of interesting, the G string, how do we reword this? The B string is palm muted more than the G string. So what I'd like you to do on this one, try and maybe take your hand from here and I can move it this way a little bit. So this way that palm mute sweet spot is more on the G string and less on the B string. So that's something important to keep in mind when you're doing sweep picking stuff. You want to have the bassier notes have most of the palm mute. There's definitely nothing super wrong with having the B string palm muted as well, but we need more of an emphasis, palm mute emphasis on the G string versus the B string. So see if you can position your hand a little bit different when you work on this one. Just bring your hand, well, the opposite of guitar stuff. You're going to bring your hand up this way, in other words, down the string a little bit. Let's take a look anyway, see if there's anything that I missed. I think the first take was better because that second one, your pinky was short. It hit the 11th fret instead of the 12th when you did the A minor sweep. But the first one, that was a pretty good one. So this one, let's try a volume thing. Let's have you do 120 for 5 minutes. Yeah, like 5 minutes straight, just do the 120. There's the other thing I want you to try and do is don't even do the 60 beats a minute start and then work up to it. I want to see if you can just go right to 120 and play it for 5 minutes. You know, put on a video or whatever so you're not driving yourself crazy by doing the same thing for 5 minutes straight. But yes, 120 beats a minute with the sweep picking one for 5 minutes straight, and do that for a day, and then the next day go ahead and try another speed thing and see if you get past 150. And you know what, go ahead and record that too, send it to me too. The last one, so that first take, there's rhythm problems. However, the second one, that rhythm was pretty good. So you got the rhythm there for that. The one thing that seemed interesting was, I think one of the slides, the note kind of disappeared. That was the first one. That one's, yeah. This is a good one though. Yeah, it's like when you slid down the E string near the end there. Seemed like the note wasn't ringing out as well as it could, which one of two things I can think of. Either you didn't have adequate pressure on the string as you slid down. I don't think that's the case though. I really think it's an amp setting sort of thing. So I guess another question is what amp are you using? How's the setup going? Is it an amp sim? Yeah, let me know what the setup is. Or yeah, just let me know what that is first before I start rambling on about reasons why it might not be working out. But that's, yeah, I just wonder if that's an amp setting thing. So yeah, rhythmically, that sounded good. That sounded pretty much, you know, where it needs to be. So let's go ahead and do 120 beats a minute with this one as well. 5 minutes straight. And then after you do a day of that, then go ahead and try and do another speed thing and see if you go past the 150. And go ahead and record that so I can see how that goes. But for exercise number 1, that's the one I would like you to record an entire practice session with before we decide on a volume thing. Because, yeah, I just want to see where that rhythmic disconnect kicks in, like what speed that happens at. If we can get that figured out, I think that's going to, that's what's really going to help push you further. Because if the rhythm's off, when you start trying to kick it up high gear, well, then that's when it really sounds off. So, yeah, rhythm's got to get improved with those sorts of things. Okay. Yeah. Any questions you have at all, please let me know. But again, thank you for doing this. It's very helpful. And yeah, I will await your reply.